Good morning.
Good to be back. A new week, new theme. We are the Amish Matchmakers. Carlos and Chantel here, and we help Amish singles to find a godly spouse, create an epic marriage, and develop a legacy rooted and founded in
Faith and freedom.
there you go, faith and freedom. I got stuck. I was about to say love, but it is true, love. But that's our topic for this week. Focusing on what does it look like to create confidence, and breaking down what it looks like and what is required to create confidence in all of us. What makes me confident? And recognizing that and really asking that question as I was unpacking it for this week and wanting to focus this whole week on confidence. The root of confidence is in knowing and believing and feeling loved. Feeling loved. I believe.
Loving yourself.
Yep, exactly. Loving yourself. And knowing that you're loved is the first step to loving yourself. So, this morning as men, we talked about the power of love and the fact that it literally says in the Bible in 1 John chapter 4, verse 19, the love chapters, right? John is 1 John, 2 John, 3 John is all focuses on love. It's super powerful. But in that it says, we love because he first loved us. So recognizing that love comes from the fact that we are loved by him, Papa, God. That's what then creates the ability for us to love others. Okay, I want you to pause and think about that for a minute as we start this conversation and this talk. By being loved gives you the ability then to love others. By feeling and knowing you are loved allows you then to love others. To know and believe you are loved and feel that will allow you to love yourself then, because it's like yourself, and then it gives you the ability and the freedom and the power to love others. So good morning and welcome to our Love Talk with the Amish Matchmakers. And we want to talk about the power of confidence and how to develop that in a practical way. And so as we explore this morning, we invite your comments. We invite you to, this morning I was with one of our clients, and one of our most committed clients, been with us for 3 years. And guess what he said to me? I asked him, hey, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet?
Nope.
He said no. And our goal, we're at 488 right now. We would love to hit, let's start with 500, right? That would mean 12 more subscribers. You can help us. Those of you on TikTok, I know we have a lot of TikTokers here, and people, we're live on TikTok, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook. But we'd ask you, our YouTube channel is, I mean, I guess you can be a follower. We're asking you to be followers on TikTok as well, if that's your preferred location. But on YouTube, I'm most familiar with that as far as being able to hit the subscribe button, and then also the notification bell, so that when we create content and when we go live, you'll be notified. Like, that's the power of being able to do that. But also, one thing you may not know is the more subscribers we have, I think 500 is the first marker, then YouTube turns on like another level. And same thing with Facebook. When you have enough followers, it turns on another level of exposure to the world. They're controlling a lot of things now. Same with TikTok. When you comment or when you like or you follow us on TikTok, then TikTok goes, oh, these people are sharing something that's legitimate. And so then they show it to the world more. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, can we, by the end of today, even on YouTube, that's the one where I can see it and understand it. We have 488 followers. Thanks to one of our clients today, we were at 487, and then I watched it change. I was like, oh, see, you became 488. Thank you. Great number.
That's a great number.
But the reality is that some of you haven't even checked. Maybe take the time to check right now. Look at YouTube, Amish Matchmakers, and confirm that you are subscribed and that you hit the notification bell on there. Same thing with Facebook. They're going to ask you, do you want to see more of these posts? Do you want to be notified when they go live? And say yes, yes. Same thing, I'm sure, with TikTok. There's some kind of thing where you can follow us and then let TikTok know that you want to get more information from us. That really helps, because if you want more information, then they're going to show it to more people. And if you're commenting, liking, reposting our content, guess what? It just shows AI and the algorithms out there, hey, these guys are doing good things, and we're going to show it to more people because they're doing good things. So your opinion matters. Even your subscription matters to subscribe to our channel. Okay. Thank you so much. Just want to take time to bring that to your attention and make sure you've done that. Now, let's talk about confidence this week and how that affects relationships. How, if you're going to find love, keep love, and make it epic, what would it take to find it? Why does that affect our confidence and our courage? As I was going through 1 John chapter 4 this morning, and I had looked that up, it is fascinating to me, because in that it literally says that when you are loved, it gives you confidence. It says it in that chapter. 1 John chapter 4, it's 21 verses, I believe. And the power of love, knowing you're loved and being loved. So, Chantel, you've worked with thousands of people over the years. Definitely an expert in working with the youth. Prior to us getting married, you had worked over 11 years with abused and neglected children, but primarily your focus was with the youth.
Mm-hmm.
They're a tough group, man. They're trying to find their own. They're trying to find their autonomy. They're becoming adults, and it's by design that they become more independent. They become more boisterous, trying to find their voice. And so what I'd love to hear from you is, in your experience, think back to that. What is it? How does love affect them? The lack of it? Like, what did you notice in your years of working with youth and in the system, essentially, in California, some of the roughest, cities in America? One of them is San Diego, Los Angeles area, and you worked with a lot of the youth from that area that were put into the home you were working in. So tell us what your experience was about love. What would you say about love? What would you say about, what did you find out about? Just kind of share a little bit.
Well, what do you mean? Like, first of all, what does love look like? Right?
Did you notice, I guess, would you say there's a
Well,
correlation of them lacking love?
well, that's my point. What does love look like?
Mm-hmm.
Love looks different for different people. And, I don't know, you're talking about the kids in the system. So then I have to go into the state of, there's families that absolutely, it was necessary for the kids to be pulled from the home based on the abuse, based on, the lack of protection or provision or security, right? So there's, you run the gamut of stories that are just tragic and horrifying, and so much so that, half the staff couldn't even read their files without getting emotional, or,
Wow.
So there's those cases. And there was also cases which happened more and more, where kids were pulled from the home because, they had reports of, abuse, but truly these kids were loved. They may have been disciplined a little bit harder than, most of the kids, because, we went through the pendulum swung really hard on no physical discipline for children, right? Where, kids were like, I'll call the cops on you. That's abuse, or something like that, when they were just being disciplined, when they were in a home that was full of love and they were acting out. Like, so there's so much things, and And so the question is, what is love? Like, what does love look like? You know, um, love, like, that's what I mean. Like, it really is, there's no black and white.
How would you define love yourself personally? In your experiences, what is the best, most beneficial love for people?
Um, what love looks like to me is honor. It's, you know, feeling seen and heard. It's, you know, a safe place, right? To be able to express yourself. It's just, whether it's to someone or in an environment. Um, love looks like consideration for the other person. It looks like, um, communications, um, the willingness to communicate with someone.
Are you all taking notes? This is a good point to take notes, because seriously, you can come and listen to us, and it's great. Maybe some of you are walking. I know some of you have told me, yeah, I'm busy with stuff, but I want to listen in. And yeah, it's going to, hopefully, it'll impact your life and make a difference too because of what you're hearing today. But if you have an opportunity to take notes, write down the question, what is love? And it's this, Chantel just went through a list of practical things that are very real and very beneficial. And why I want to talk about love today and even this week, how that develops confidence and what that looks like, is because I also want to address the fact that you've been told, as in your church or from religious leaders, pastors, Sunday school teachers that mean well, is that just give them more of Jesus. Give them more of God. Like, that's what they need. That's the answer. Like, those abused and neglected children in California that Chantel is working with, why didn't she just give them God? Why didn't she just give them more of Jesus? Introduce them to Jesus. Salvation is what they need. Well, I'm here to tell you that the highest law that God preached in his word, that Jesus said, is to love your neighbor as yourself. And to love, if you can do all these cool things, but if you have not love, you don't have Papa. The proof that you have him in your life is to love. So this is like the question we should always be asking. Then, if that is true, if salvation and true salvation is to love and be loved, because again, I'm sorry, some of you that believe that salvation is just this little prayer where you ask Jesus into your heart and that's it. No, it's deeper than that. That's what I want to tell you. It's deeper than that. It's love. So then what does love look like? Going back to Chantel's amazing question back to us, is what does love look like then? If we're going to sit here and talk about that love is what helps us to have confidence, love ourselves, how do we love ourselves? Uh-huh. You got to receive love first. We're recognizing that. So then what is love? What do I do to receive love? What's the practical side of love? If we can unlock this, and if we can truly get an understanding of this, I think we can help a lot of people this week. Help you to feel loved, help you to know you're loved. And so now practical side is, what is love? Chantel started to describe some of it. So we've got, environment matters, feeling safe, that creates love. Heard,
Seen.
seen. And again, she's basing this on experience of, again, over 10 years before we got married. Now we've been married and together for over 15 years. So now we're talking combination of 27 years. And we haven't stopped asking the question, what is love? And we haven't stopped working with people that need love. Everyone on the planet needs love. I need love. She needs love. How can we show our love to others? And how can we be loved? What does it mean to be loved? What does it look like to be loved? So, environment, safe, heard, seen, um, have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things? Again, you've noticed it in your professional opinion, because being a professional, consideration. Yep, that was a good one. Consideration. It's huge. Do you even know what consideration is? Put in the chat how you would define consideration. As we're going through this, it's fun to have your interaction. Seriously, it is. So what would you say consideration looks like in practical ways? All right. Acknowledging of acknowledgement, right? Would you say that's a big one too? Acknowledging people's sprouts, acknowledging their accomplishments, acknowledgement of things they've done well.
Acknowledging effort.
Acknowledging, yep, effort. That shows, and it's action that proves that you love someone, is you're willing to acknowledge them in situations.
Value.
Validation creates value as well. So validating people in their situation. Validation.
Not in their situation. Validating feelings.
There you go. Validating feelings. There you go. So again, that's can be love. That's how people can feel loved and feel valued, is validating the feelings they're having.
I also think that something that really shows love is to pursue understanding with somebody.
Now, why does that convey so much love?
Well, number one, somebody can express themselves and we interpret through our lens. We hear through our ears, which, you know, our humanness takes over because it's a filter, right? We see and hear through a filter always. We all do it. So if we intentionally pursue understanding, then we are then choosing to step outside of our filter and enter into their world, right? To pursue understanding is to, find out what causes, somebody to feel that way or to behave that way or, to respond a certain way, right? Um, so when we understand, then we're seeing them on a deeper level, which causes value, which makes them feel loved.
Special, important. Yeah, sure. And I think
versus just, seeing through our lens and assuming that we know. I think that's probably the greatest negative default that we as humans have, is that we rely so much on what we see and hear, but we don't recognize how filtered our lenses are.
What would you say are some really great questions to ask someone to pursue understanding? What are some examples of questions when you're trying to pursue understanding of a situation?
Well, if somebody says like, I'm just so frustrated or something like that, right? Well, what are you frustrated about? And then, well, so and so did this and this and this. What about that is bothering you so much? Well, it's the tone of voice. Well, you know, why does that tone of voice bother you so much? Oh, it just reminds me of my mom, right? I mean, there's so many different ways, but it's the pursuit. When that's why I talk about the pursuit, because it's a series of questions. It's not just one. It's a series of questions that leads you deeper into people talk about following the fruit to the root, right? It leads you down a path to finding a core experience or a place where a belief happened, an agreement was made, internally. So
Gotcha. No, that's good. That's really good. And I appreciate that because I agree. It's a pursuit. And one thing that you're going to find is the most valuable thing that people have on the planet is not money, it's not assets, it's time. And what's interesting about the pursuit of understanding, it takes time to do that. It's never going to happen like quickly. You're going to have to ask some questions. You're going to have to actually pursue understanding, which takes multiple questions to get in depth.
Which giving somebody time is another display of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And the other thing is, I think some people hold back from pursuing understanding. Maybe it's a little bit of judgment, right? Maybe say they have somebody in their life who, it was repeatedly showing a certain behavior that we have judgment on. We tend to not pursue understanding because we don't agree with their behavior. Okay. And so it hinders us from, number one, showing that person deep love, and it hinders us from connecting with that person. The truth is, pursuing understanding is not the same as agreement. Okay. When we understand somebody, we are simply understanding that, oh, I can see where they respond this way, or why they respond this way, or why they, react this way around this kind of circumstance. It's an understanding. It's not an agreement, nor is it, what's the word? Nor is it encouragement. Like it's not an agree. Like you're not saying,
you're not empowering it, or
yeah. I mean, a lot of us hold back understanding for fear that we're gonna, encourage their behavior. No, that's not true. We're just simply valuing them, understanding their experience, and maybe gaining a new perspective of why somebody behaves the way they do. Right?
And I can see that by doing that, we're also going to empower our own personal empathy.
Yeah, because it accesses, when we do understand, there's something that unlocks inside of us, which is the compassion and the empathy part of our emotional well-being.
It's good. It's really good.
Anytime that we choose understanding over judgment, we're actually loving ourselves more, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, and I would challenge all of you to go read 1 John chapter 4, the whole chapter. It's super crazy because so many people are like, what is love? Well, and God is love. Papa, Abba is love. But then it even says, this is where the confidence thing comes in verse 17, in this union, fellowship with Father, love is completed and perfected in us so that we may have confidence in the day of judgment. So everyone's going to be judged eventually. But if you know you have that connection to the Father, you can have confidence knowing I'm good. I love Papa. He loves me. We have this great connection. It's like if you know, like, so let's go there. Like in your, let's say that we watched this cute movie over the weekend. I like relating things to movies and things about this son who wanted to find favor with his father because he wanted to take over the law firm. And so what did he do? He made up this whole relationship because he knew his father was all about family and his father wanted him to be married. And so he created this pretend relationship to gain favor with his father to be proud of him. And then he would get the law firm. He would inherit the law firm because he was an attorney and his dad was the owner, and he was retiring and going to have someone take over, right? And there was two brothers. Guess what? It worked. It worked, but it's all based out of deceit. But why am I bringing that up? Because that made the father feel closer to him, connected to his son, proud of him. And then he's like, yeah, of course, you're the one that is going to be the next successor and CEO of the law firm, because he gained favor and connection with his father through that process. But it's real. Like those practical things are real, even in our inheritance and love and connection to our Father, Abba, Papa in heaven. First step is to know that he's not this God that's judging you and going to crush you, but he's a good daddy, a good father, a good Abba, a good Papa that loves you and wants to be connected to you, wants you to have his yoke and create less burden, to create a lighter feeling, a peace, love, joy, the fruit that he carries. Like, but that's what it's so powerful to read, First John chapter 4 and recognize through that whole thing, it talks about love, the love of a father, the love of being loved, that Papa, Father is love. That's who he is. And I even shared with posting that video, Inheritance, because it really speaks to love, 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 love. And sometimes that was going to be my question. How to get people to love themselves? What would you say is a good strategy to help people? I talked about inheritance, video playing it over and over, repetition. That's helped me over the years because I'm trying to convince myself that I'm loved. But what is it that you would recommend? What are some cool strategies that we've put in place or that you would recommend?
Well,
to empower people in love. I guess that's the bottom line of what I'm asking.
I think there's a combination of things. Practically speaking, it's, if we understand our weakness, right? And maybe feeling, maybe self-love is a weakness of ours, based on our experience, our upbringing, or whatever, or maybe it's a high control religion where, we just felt shamed and condemned our whole life and that we didn't measure up, right? So we understand that we have a weakness, a weak muscle. Then it requires work. It requires intentionality, just like every connection, but this one is identifying, what we want. Like, how do we want to feel? What does love look like for ourselves? And then, exercising muscles to gain that. Whether it is, one of the things that we lack is, feeling like we have a voice. Well, it's exercising the muscle of using your voice, right? And that doesn't mean, you know, overcompensating and, arguing with everybody because you have no voice. It's simply just, you know, exercising that muscle, little by little of saying, okay, normally I wouldn't speak up here because I don't have the confidence to use my voice, but I'm going to choose to anyway.
Yeah.
So it's showing up for yourself even when you feel a lack of confidence, right? Those are the ways that we work those muscles,
so good,
that we increase our confidence and we increase our value. But it's our choice. It's our responsibility. Little by little, we have to show up. We have to press against the natural feeling of, the belief that my voice doesn't matter, so I'm just not going to say a word, right? That's the default. You're literally choosing to allow a story from your childhood to control you and control whether you speak or don't speak, right? So it's though that's like just a minor example
but it's so good because it totally reminds me of even the power of the word where it says you reap what you sow.
Mhm.
So like you're saying, if you want to be heard, you got to use your voice. Like that's the seeds you got to plant. And at first it's going to feel awkward. You're going to do it wrong for sure, but there's no right or wrong. It's just doing it. But that's what I'm saying. They're going to feel like they're doing it wrong. That's natural. That everyone feels like, oh, I messed it up or I did it wrong. But that's the thing. We want to help you to see that this is not about right or wrong.
Mhm.
This is about loving yourself, that love has to be the higher law of doing it anyways because you love yourself. And I think about people that haven't had love and affection, haven't been told I love you, haven't been touched growing up. Well, are you doing it now? Because that's the difference. You don't have to stay stuck in that and create that in your life or in those around you. Now you get the opportunity to go do it, even though it's uncomfortable. Even though, what if I do it wrong? That's the fear. What if I do it wrong? Or what if I get rejected? What if it's not right? Like, you know what I mean? People go through this crazy stuff in their head, and we want to acknowledge you. We hear you, we see you, we know and understand that you're having these thoughts. in these beliefs, can you do it anyways? Because of the reaping and sowing.
Yeah, I mean, it's places like, we talked about consideration, right? Being considered. Are you considering others, right? Are you, if, you feel like you haven't been validated, are you learning how to validate other people's feelings, right? Again, it is, there's part of it is the law of reaping and sowing, but it's also, again, it's just exercising the muscle of, because when we are exercising the muscle with others, we're intrinsically exercising the muscle with ourselves.
So good.
Right? It's like, when we talk about life and death is in the power of the tongue. So if I'm really conscious about the words that I'm speaking and encourage way that I'm talking to others and encouraging others, those habits then become, more of what we can speak to ourselves too. It's all of it. It's again, it's working muscles. So if we understand and we know that, you know, our self-esteem is so low and we have this tape recorder playing that just beats ourselves up constantly, then we have to make extra effort. Like, that's a weakness. So it's a muscle we need to work.
So
So
good.
how do we work that muscle? Part of our Epic 30 is a beautiful example of those things, and it's why it's designed that way, right?
Sure.
So, being able to speak gratitudes and worthies over, our Papa, the Father in heaven, ourself, and then to others, right? So, it's a whole process that really is a great exercise of working that muscle.
Yes. So good. And so to love yourself, even saying I love you. How many times are you going to say that today? It's going to feel odd and uncomfortable for a lot of you, but it won't after you've done it 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Seriously. It's a muscle. I love how you present that, Chantel. It's so true. It's a muscle you have not worked. It was the most coolest. One of the things this morning too with one of our clients, as I was meeting with him, it was a guy, and he was sharing with me over the holidays that for first time he can ever remember, his dad did something different. Again, he comes from the Anabaptist background, Amish Mennonite background. He happens to come from the Amish, and his dad embraced him and hugged him and said, "I love you, son." And he had never had that happen before. So what's powerful about that is that father made a choice that I'm just going to do this in spite of the fact that I've never done it to my son before. I've never touched in that way a hug and shown love and affection, but then said those words. And the culture and community that we do support and love, the Amish culture and community, it's a thing. They don't do that. That's not normal for them. Some do, but for the most part, they don't do it. They don't show love and affection. They don't say words of affirmation.
Definitely not very common.
Yeah. So again, that's where today you can make a difference. You can choose to do something different. You can choose to even say to another man, if you're a man out there, it's funny, women say it to each other very easily, I think, way more easier than men say it to each other.
Not necessarily in the culture. I think
Well, the culture, you're right. Yeah, I think that I love you, those words. We learned there's not even really words in the Amish language that means that.
Dutch.
Yeah, in Dutch. So it's interesting, that specific thing of I love you. There's things all around it, but not directly related to that. So fascinating. But the point is now how can you go today and say I love you? Like I said, in general, though, women have an easier time of doing it, especially to another woman. But I would say men really are challenged by saying I love you to another man. Like it feels like you're being feminine, you're not being macho, you're being wimpy. Like men just don't do that. Well, guess what? You can be epic. You can be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you. I believe in you. And I do my best when I have conversations with men, when I end that or when I leave, to say I love you and give them a hug. I do. I do my best. Not, am I perfect at it? No. Because I have to consciously think of it and consciously do it.
You do a great job.
And it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So We'll be back tomorrow and we'll continue this conversation on how loving yourself, loving others can build confidence. That's the theme for this week. So stay tuned. Again, like, subscribe. We are who?
Amish Matchmakers. We'll see you tomorrow.